Hey, everybody, welcome to the Unshackled Moms Alliance. I am here with my good friend Lisa, who's going to talk a little bit about adoption in our adoption series. If you missed last week's episode, that was me talking about my own adoption story, so make sure you tune into that. But today, let's welcome Lisa Murphy.
Thank
Yay! Hi,
you.
Lisa.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
We are so happy to have you. So tell me a little bit about your organization and just a little bit of background information before we really get to it.
Okay, so Open Hearts for Orphans exists to provide resources for orphaned and abandoned children in the U.S. and beyond through medical intervention, meeting basic needs, and providing adoption assistance. And we have been doing this. We were formed as an organization, a 501(c)(3) in 2017. So we've been doing this for a while.
I love it. I love it. I know I had an infertility journey and for like 9 years was just trying to
Mhm.
like on that journey of, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be a mom? And I know a lot of times I looked at the different sites for overseas adoption and looking at that kind of stuff. And there's just such an incredible need.
Such an incredible need. In fact, so our story of fertility, I don't know. I didn't have I remember a lot of my friends always reading the books like what to expect when you're expecting, and I was always like, why are you reading that? Like I feel like I just didn't even have that kind of maternal drive. I was almost 40, went to my OBGYN, and she looked at me and said, "So what are you doing? Like, do you want to have a family?" And I said, I don't know, but I knew one thing. My husband is that guy who's like just so great with kids. And I said, but I know my husband needs to be a dad. She said, I'll be right back. So she leaves the exam room, goes to her office, and comes back, and she's holding a packet. And she said, I just got this in here this week. It's from an adoption agency.
Oh, wow.
Take it home and read it. So I took it home
Because that's what you
and
do. Your doctor tells you to take this home and read it. You do.
yeah, and so we took it home and we just, my husband and I scoured the different country programs. It was an agency called Wide Horizons for Children up in Boston area which is where I was from. So um, we ended up using them. We prayed over the different, countries, and each country has like different parameters and guidelines, and to me it's all about just finding what's the fit, what's for you, because every adoption path is so unique, and so every journey is different. And my husband said one day, I want a little girl from China. I said, okay, why? And he divulges that he remembered as a ninth grade student in high school, that they learned about the dying rooms in China, where all these baby girls, were not wanted, and they basically cried themselves until they died.
Yeah.
And the world responded. Thank God, the world responded and began, adopting those baby girls. And I was just mind blown that God had planted that seed in him. We were 40, so that God
Yes. All those years ago.
that yeah, like, wow, it was mind blowing to me. So I'm like, okay, that's great, let's go. And so that was the adoption agency we used to bring home our little baby girl from China, our first.
Is
Yeah.
that still an issue today?
So it's not. So the world
That's good.
responded so much so, which is a blessing and a praise, um, that all the baby girl pretty much right after we were matched with Maddie, we could see the slowdown of the process, and anyone who was in line to adopt a healthy infant baby, they began waiting. Like, we have friends down here who waited 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Um, for a healthy baby. And so by the time we started talking, let's see, we brought home Maddie in 2006. About 2008, we started thinking, you know what? She should have a sibling because I have a brother. Jimmy has a sister. Just seemed like the next, next right step.
Sure.
So contacted an agency, a different agency this time. I don't know why. I just felt drawn to this different agency. And they said, this is great, but we have good news and bad news. The good news is that the world has responded for these healthy infant girls. Um, but the sad news is that there's all these children with special needs who are waiting. And there's a process, and, the process is a little different. Um, and there's a lot of boys, that it's
Yeah.
really a myth that there's only girls, because now there's a lot of boys who need homes too. So we were like, okay, if that's fine with us. So um
A
we
brother it
began
is.
yeah, so we began waiting. We didn't, we just said whatever God wants us to have.
Yep.
We began waiting, and 2009 we got a call, and it was our agency saying we have the file of a little boy. Um, he has tetralogy of Fallot, so he had 4 major heart defects, and he was just beautiful. His file, he was just looked like the sweetest little boy. He was 2 years old, or at that time maybe 18 months. And it was scary because even though we put that down on our checklist that we were open to a baby with a heart condition, what did that really mean?
Yep.
And so we just really took our time, like, going through it, um and just kind of contemplating. And it was so funny because every time we were outside in our backyard, like, talking about this baby, um this wind would kick up, and we had this bell in our backyard that we called it Grandma's bell, because had belonged to my husband's mother, who passed
Oh,
away, interestingly, that year. And
oh
so
my
every
goodness.
time this bell would ring, we'd be like, "That's your mom." It's a sign. And so we just really felt like God was saying, calling us to say yes. So we did say yes, and we flew over to China January of 2010. We were united with Daniel, which is what we named him, Daniel, January 24th. And it was just an amazing chapter. He was just such a sweet little boy. He was so sick, like, not from his heart, but like, when we took him, it was very clear that he was ill, like, with bronchitis and all kinds of issues. But so we were worried because the first few days he was so sick and, just sad. And
What was that
we
like
were
on the flight home, just not feeling well?
the flight home was hard.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
we finally saw him at breakfast one morning, and he smiled, and it was just we all just it was me and my and Jimmy, and my father-in-law went with us, and we just started crying because it was like, okay, he can smile, he can be happy, like, um and we got him home. It was interesting because I wanted to keep him in a bubble because I was so scared of him getting hurt. And here's
Yes.
my husband, who is like rough and tumble, like picking him up by his buttons, and like, wrestling with him, and
Yeah.
all the things. And our daughter was just in heaven because she hadn't gone on the trip with us. She stayed home with my parents, watched her, and it was just a new chapter of life. Like, we really cocooned, they call it. So we were really, kind of at home. We did some things with them. We went over to my parents' house a lot and did a lot of family things, a lot of close friend things, but didn't do a whole lot of running around. Um, it was just life was good, and we just knew that we had to address his heart. He was
Mhm.
2, so we really knew we needed to probably look at it fairly quickly.
Mhm.
So we did all the medical background and had him scheduled, and he was scheduled for May. Um, I remember that Mother's Day because we were leaving for the hospital the next day. That was, I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday. Sorry.
Yep.
And we went down and he had his surgery and he came out really strong. Like the whole team was, touting success. That night, it was just an odd night. It just was apparent that he couldn't get comfortable, and he just, um, I don't know. It was just, it definitely seemed off. The sad thing is, we didn't know. We
Right?
didn't know how desperate it was going to get. Um, 8 a.m., he went into cardiac arrest.
Mm.
We heard, every sound in that hospital and people flying into the room, and it was like, "What just happened?" You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And, they took him away and went back into the operating room, and, he came out with his chest open. They put the tape and it was open, and he was on ECMO. He was on life support, and it was just this crazy 19-day roller coaster where um he would some an organ would fail, he would improve. Crazy things. One day his foot was turning black for lack of oxygen, and then they had to go in and fix that. It was just the craziest things happened to this poor baby.
What was
um
that like as
it
a mom? You have this new baby.
Yeah.
Intellectually, that there's going to be issues, there's going to be medical issues, but your mama heart, having experienced that is totally a different thing. So what was that like?
Yeah, it was it was hard, obviously, but it was also just a time where we were just on our knees.
Mhm.
You do not go through that fire without the Lord by your side, and that was really the source of our strength. I mean, that
Yeah.
was everything. Like, our faith just carried us. Um, we started
Did
going
you
to
have
mass.
thoughts of why did you put us through this, God,
Oh,
or any of those kind of
absolutely.
things?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why, Lord, why? How can this happen when, we fought so hard to get him here,
Yep.
and he has this chance at this new life, and um it was just so hard to reconcile. But we definitely weren't without hope. We just saw all these signs. Like I said, we just felt the Lord's presence. There was one night, Jim's sister flew down. We left the hospital that night, and I again had this, I don't know, the sense that something just didn't seem quite right. We were going to stay the night in a hotel with her just to try to get some good rest because we had been staying at the Ronald McDonald House, and we got a call from the hospital around midnight, and they said, "You need to come."
Mm.
And it was like we were 5, 10 minutes away. It seemed like an eternity trying to get to that hospital. And
Yep.
we could see the lights on up in the room, and we got up there. We were just shaking, trembling, and we could see them working on him. And you know what? My prayers like totally shifted, and I was just like, you know what, Lord, take him. Just please take him. Just he's yours. Take him because it's just too much. Like it was, so much on his little body,
Yeah.
um and again, it was just like, how could this happen? But when I really broke it down, you got to look at it and say, he didn't die alone.
Right.
He did not die as an orphan. Um, he was loved by
Yeah.
his family and by a community and a church home. He was baptized. And there's so much beauty on that. And, he went to heaven on Trinity Sunday, which is in our
Oh,
Catholic faith, the day of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
yeah,
So that felt like just, okay, Lord, I hear you. He's okay. Um, and it was just, I don't know. It was just a very, hard time of trying to navigate that. But we just tried to really keep our eyes on, the Lord.
yeah,
And I always
yeah,
said, like, Jesus was my antidepressant. Like, I just
yeah,
needed to keep pressing into that because what I learned was that I guess I had never known that was it's in that um total hardship that when we just fully surrender, and when we fully surrender like that, and really need him, the way that he's present for us seems so much more intense than in our everyday when everything's good. And
yep,
you know what I mean, because we're just
yeah.
pressing into him. And um
Yeah,
so
you're not
that part,
distracted. He has your undivided attention, and, like, moment
yeah.
by moment by moment, you are
Hmm.
just relying on him to get to the next
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was pretty intense. And the weird thing was, like, almost instantly I felt like he was saying, go back. I heard two things: go back and share his story.
yeah,
And so within a month, we were talking about going back. And it wasn't, our family was like, what? You can't do that. Um, but it wasn't about, it wasn't about trying to replace Daniel. It was about knowing that there were so many other kids in the world who deserve that same chance at a family. And we
yeah,
believe that Daniel would want that. And
yeah,
we believe
absolutely,
that the Lord would want that. So,
absolutely.
um,
So let's stop before you go on to your
yeah,
story. Let's stop for a minute
yes.
because let's talk
Okay.
about during this whole time you had a daughter at home. And there's a lot of attention being given to Daniel, and there's a lot of
Yes.
attention given to that. So how did you balance that? How did you, deal with this little girl that you have that you love just as much and is
Right.
going through all the stress of everything that's going on too?
Yes. Great question. So the day we came home from the hospital, we had all of Daniel's things. And when it was time to wake up, we went in her room and told her that he wasn't coming home, and
Yeah,
gave her all of these items to keep. Um, so hard for a little mind to understand.
yeah,
And we tried, not to overwhelm her with it and still make her life about her. But at
yep,
the same time, we tried to be very open
yeah.
about
I
our
love that.
grieving. Now, funny about like how generations change, right? Because generations before, you never did that. You never, they felt like that was putting upon a child a hardship, or but we felt like it was real. And she went through that loss just like we did, and she needed to learn how to grieve that and see that it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay to just cry and feel it and not bury it. And she did. And so, but we also just focused on her life, her normal life.
I
But
love
we
that.
tried to honor him in many ways, and we still talked about him like he was in you know what I mean? We still um talked about him all the time. We didn't try to just, you know, push it aside. We That Christmas was terribly difficult. But
Yeah,
we just really tried to make it special for her, um and kind of included him. We had his stocking. We always hang his stocking, and um, we had people fill it with memories and little thoughts and just special things that we opened up that Christmas and read together. And um, so it's interesting now. So anyway, we then like I said, we decided to go back, and I
Yep.
remember standing in Maddie's bedroom. So this was a matter of just a few months, and she's playing and she's quiet, and I just turned around and said, "Maddie, do you think you'd ever want another baby?" And she's really quiet. She turns around and she looks at me and says, "I want to go to China this time."
All right,
Okay,
China it
you
is.
got it. So it was like, okay, she was so I love how God like took that, made beauty out of those ashes, and less than a year later, the three of us were on an airplane to China to bring home her little brother Charlie.
I
And
love
she
that.
got
So
to
tell me
be
how'd that work? Did you see the did you see the
so
picture, and how did you include her in that?
you just ask all the right questions. So it was October 23rd, and got a call, and I see Holt on the caller ID. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, it's the adoption agency." And I pick up and she said, "You are not going to believe this, but I came into work and turned on my computer, and out of nowhere, there's this file of this beautiful baby boy. And I looked at him and said, 'It's the Murphy's baby.'" And
Oh.
and I said, "Well, I need," which of course I was like, on the verge of tears. I said, "Tell me more, tell me about him." And she tells me his birthday, September 16th, and it's my husband's mother's birthday.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
goodness.
so it was her birthday. And so I was like, absolutely, that was the sign that we needed. So we said yes. Yeah.
And how
And it
did
was a
you
beautiful thing.
prepare Maddie for the trip?
Oh, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. Maddie was it's so excited for the trip, and it was so much fun having her there and having her involved in everything and having her there from the
Mhm.
get-go to hold her little brother. It was like this redemption.
That's
I
so
feel like
amazing.
maybe she felt like she had gotten robbed of so many things, not going to China to bring Daniel home, and then losing him. And I feel like it was a way that she could fully embrace every bit of the journey. It was good.
So what are some tips that you can give other parents who might, whether they have a biological child or they've adopted one, but they're preparing to that journey? How can they, what are some of the things that they can do to help prepare their child for that?
For traveling?
The whole process.
Oh,
So,
the
okay,
whole
yes, look, here's
process.
our picture. Here's our baby boy. This is who we're going to get,
Yeah.
or a girl. Now what? Now
I
how do I prepare my child?
I just think it's including them in the process. I don't think it needs to be, I think it can be very organic, but just, letting the child be part of that process, like letting them celebrate the milestones, let them help you plan the trip, let them figure out what they want to take to meet their little brother, let them, so I
Yeah,
think
I
that was
love that.
really
So maybe
it.
go
Yeah.
shopping and go, okay, you're getting a new baby
Yeah.
brother, sister. Let's just get something
Right.
special from you to them to help include them in
Right.
that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Every update, just
Yep.
including them in every part of it, I think is very. I think it's a lot communication. Let them be a part of it, and she definitely was. And interesting to see, like, you know, I guess some people could look at a lot of things like a burden, but it's the way that I can see how it's all. We'll get to that down the road, but how it's affected her today is just incredible. Um, so Charlie was just her baby, and life was so good with Charlie. But one day we were at Mass, and it was the Feast of the Holy Family. It was in 2012. And there was something at that Mass, and it was the homily about Jesus and Mary and their love for, sorry, Joseph and Mary and their love for baby Jesus, and just the Holy Family. And I just felt that, I walked out of Mass. I'm like, honey, I think we're supposed to adopt again. And he was like, no, no. I said, "Yes." Um,
Daddy
so
has a sibling, we're good. No, God has
yeah,
other
yeah,
plans.
right. So we started the process again, and in the way, the Lord, and I feel like when you give your yes, there's so much discernment, but really I feel like once you give that yes, it's like it opens up this floodgate of, I don't even know, amazingness. So we got the call for Joseph when we were heading up to see some family members, and picked, file of this little 6-year-old, almost 6-year-old boy. And we get to our destination, and I take out a legal pad and I start writing names. And the first name I write is Joseph. Um, the next morning, cell reception was awful. But the next morning, I there's a message on my phone, and I get the message, and it was this friend of mine who said, "Lisa, I don't know why, but I saw your book on my bookshelf, and it was beckoning me to read it. I stayed up all night and read your book. And I just want you to know, on today, the feast day of Saint Joseph, that I'm praying for your family." And it just clicked. I'm like, it's the feast of Saint Joseph. We're naming him Joseph.
Yes.
And we did. So we said yes to him on the feast day of Saint Joseph. Um, Craziest thing. So we fly over. That was Jim and myself. We went by ourselves that time. And we go over, we get him home. He's just a wonderful little boy. And life is good. And we get a call from our church, like in the fall. And the priest says, "Lisa, I really want to be the one to baptize Joseph. And I'd like to do it at the Feast of the Holy Family."
Oh my
Now, he
goodness.
had no idea that the seed had for that child had been planted at the Feast of the Holy Family. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
No. And I think that, your story also, I think too many people, when they look at adoption, they go, oh my gosh, we just can't afford this or we can't do this. And the reality is, if that is what God's called you to do, then there are ways to make that happen.
Mhm.
And there
Yeah,
are, or like, we're just so busy. I don't know if we can deal with it.
right.
But like, if God has called you to that, it won't be
Yeah.
all smooth sailing because there are bumps in the road. But
Yeah,
he will open
you're
the
right.
doors that need to be opened.
He will equip the called. You are
Mhm.
absolutely right. And so, um, that was great. Life was good. I was looking in the rear view mirror thinking, there is one empty seat in that minivan. um, and so I just started looking at all these waiting child sites, and I said, "Jimmy, I think we're supposed to adopt again." Like, and he's like, "No." And then one day on the computer, there's this face, this little girl. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel like she could be the one. So I reach out, get the information about her, and there's several families interested in her. Her name was Lulu, and they ended up choosing us. And so um, Lulu became our daughter in 2016, and she was almost 6 years old. Lulu has cerebral palsy, epilepsy. It was just a whole different set of needs that Lulu had. And so it was evident when we got her home that our family was complete. Like, we knew that. She's so full of spunk. Like, she's the child that, when they say, if that child were my first, they would have been the last.
Yeah.
that was, that was kind of Lulu. And so
She's your wild cherry on top.
yeah, yeah. So we just felt like, you know what, this is great. Everything is good. God is good. The message was kind of like, you've been building your family for 10 years. It's
Mhm.
time to just be a family.
Yeah.
There was one problem with that, which was I knew about the orphan crisis. And the millions of children who still needed families.
Yep.
And I just could not shake it. And a dear friend of mine was like, "What are you waiting for? Like, just start the organization." And that's
Yep.
when Open Hearts for Orphans was born, and that was in 2016. Kind of really started as a hobby, but in time has just really, I feel like the Lord has just really blessed it. You mentioned provision, and that is one of the things that we do, and it's that is just feels like a major gift because we've now been able to walk alongside over 150 families in 38 states for the adoption of children with special needs from 27 countries.
Oh my
And
goodness, that's so exciting.
those it's just, it just feels especially in memory of Daniel and um, two other sweet babies whose moms have ended up joining us and coming on our team, Ann Bartlinsky and Mary Salmons and their lovely daughters who are also heart babies in heaven, Teresa and Ivy. And so to do this work in memory of them and to just see the miracles that unfold and to know that our donors, and all of us collectively get to be a small part of these beautiful journeys is just it's a gift. It really is.
I love that. So, can you share one story of impact that is especially close to your heart?
No. I can share one. One,
They all are, of course.
they
Yes,
all are,
yes.
but I think the ones that really impact me the most are the children that are, well, I can give it, how about if I do one in each area of our work? So in adoption, I think it's some of these cases from the Eastern European countries,
Yep.
where children have been in cribs for uh, years. One case in particular, this little girl was in a crib for 16 years,
Ugh.
had not seen the light of day. Her skin just pale. It's a miracle that she survived. Her legs were fused in a position almost like a frog. I can't even
Mhm.
explain it. Um, and her parents just forged ahead and brought her home, and now she's, I think, 22. And her life is different than everybody else's life, and but there's dignity in her life because she's loved.
Yeah.
um so those stories always get me when people, that is some abundant faith when they will just, these are children that are never, they're going to need a lifelong care. um and these families, they embrace it, and the way they love these children and the way that their children love these children is such
Yep.
a, I just know it just makes God smile. um I think with impact as far as basic needs. Probably one that I was really impactful was 2021. There was this little boy that was found in Uganda. His dad was an alcoholic. No, mom was not around. Nobody knows what happened to mom. But the little boy was practically naked. He was filthy, dirty, and he was playing in fires. And the community called our partners and said, "You need to get this little boy and help him." And they took him in, they named him Prince. And last year, Prince graduated from kindergarten. And it just was a
Um,
moment where it was like, thank you, Lord, just a miracle. And we see those type of stories all the time. And we love sharing them on our social media because really, we can do all this admin and be the connector and all these things, but without funding, nothing happens. That wheel
yeah.
does not move. Um, So we're just so thankful for donors. And then in our medical intervention sector, we have, yes, seen a lot of miracles. Definitely the most impactful, or one of, was this year when Anne traveled to Uganda in January. She walks into this hospital that they're not like our hospitals here. This hospital in particular, very ill equipped. and she sees this little boy, and she wasn't even sure if he was still alive. And the mom approached Anne and was crying and said, "Help my son, help my son." And Anne was just paralyzed, like, and just said, cried out to the Lord and said, "Help me figure out what to do here." And he made it very clear. She began reaching out to in-country contacts, called me and said, "Can we spend the money?" I said, "Spend the money." We had him transferred to another hospital that was better equipped to meet his needs. Within 2 days, this little boy who had shallow breath and eyes rolled in his head on really death's door was
Yeah.
sitting up and eating.
Oh, wow.
And within a matter of days, he was walking. And
Wow.
in 2 months, he walked out of that hospital. And the doctors said, "There is something very special about this little boy. You have to promise us that you will take care of him." And um, we still meet his needs. We will forever probably meet his needs. The his hospital bill was $13,000, which we happily paid,
Yep.
because that's nothing compared to what something like that would cost here, right? Um,
Absolutely.
but when Anne came back from that trip, she said, "Lisa, I think God wants us to fix that hospital, the pediatric ward. It's where all of the abandoned babies in our Nurtured Hearts program go." They had nothing. They had no gloves, they had no medicine, they had no sanitary water. There were ceilings falling, there
Oh
were
my
beds in
goodness.
hallways. She was horrified. She said it was a waiting room to die. They had
Mm.
a hospital making rounds. They had a doctor making rounds once a week.
Uh,
And I said, "Listen, I'm not going to stand in the way. If God's calling us to do this, we're going to do it."
Yeah.
And so it took months of working with partners, putting together an architectural plan and a design and something that would work for everybody. And it's called Hosea's Hope Project. Anne had named that little boy Hosea, and it means the Lord heals. And the Lord
I love
healed,
it.
and the Lord will heal many children in the Hosea's Hope pediatric ward. This was a ward that was funded by the Catholic community in Ireland. And there was a nun who was a sister who was pretty much running things. Well, I don't know how many years ago, but she passed away. All the funding dried up in this hospital was somehow just left in disarray,
Yeah.
and to the point that it got to. So no longer, it is currently underway in progress. It has a large price tag of $150,000 to start. We've already sent 2 deposits over. They have started demolition. I just found out yesterday the roof is on. They're going to, and they will continue on the progress. We expect that the ward should be completed by probably spring. And Anne is heading over there in February to just take a look. And we were already making the list of the medical equipment, which is phase 2, which is going to be necessary. And then phase 3 will be implementing the proper staff and just making sure the kids are cared for the
Well
way they
taken care
should
of.
be cared for. These are vulnerable children, orphans, abandoned children. They deserve to be treated with as much dignity as any other child.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so you have covered kind of a lot. So let's kind of put it
Yeah.
together. So Open Hearts doesn't just help people with adoptions. You help how what other you are you go in and build, hospital wings and do that kind of to support kids.
So,
Do
yeah.
you work um uh nationally and internationally? What kind of share with
Yeah.
those that are
Okay.
listening exactly what y'all do?
Yep, yep. So our mission statement is providing resources for medical intervention, which would be the hospital, surgeries, medical supplies, basic needs. We've provided 40 homes for orphans and widows in Uganda. It could be beds, it could be water filters, it could be whatever is basic needs, right? And then the adoption assistance, which we talked about. Domestically, it looks a little different. We're in South Florida. We've been really trying to build and partner with agencies down here.
Yep.
We are a care portal community champion, so we meet basic needs for at-risk families. We this summer were involved in a wonderful project, which was Thank You Unshackled Moms Alliance for contributing to this special project, which was a playroom and resource room at the DCF Broward County office. And so they needed a space where when children are removed from horrible, horrific circumstances, where they would have a place to go. And so this is exactly what that space is. So they will have a comfortable, um, welcoming space where they can play and just be able to, be comfortable during that crisis. And so the
Yes,
community
because
came together.
too often that, they have to sit next to a, social worker's desk and, like,
Mhm.
hopefully she has maybe some coloring or
Right.
whatever. So, like, that project is so near and dear to my heart because I have worked with so many of those
Wow.
families,
Wow.
and so the idea, and seeing so many kids that are running around in office spaces, and so the idea, I know that there are
Amazing.
several in the nation that are doing that, and it just is so near and dear to my heart because kids
Wow.
are kids, no matter what,
Yeah.
no matter what situation they come from, and they need to have that space to just be kids.
It's absolutely, it's so interesting because I really, being that we had adopted internationally, I really had no, you know, just no understanding of the domestic system and the foster care system and how everything worked. And last year, Open Hearts we were an official movement partner for the movie Sound of Hope from Angel Studios. And we promoted that film. And I really got, from that movie, a look at what that was like and exactly that. And
Mhm.
so when this project came up, it felt so like just full circle from last year to be able to actually do that project and have such an impact in that way. So yes, it is a beautiful space. So that was very cool. Um, so this is a funny story. So there's an organization down here we partner with called Children's Home Society. It
Mhm.
just so happens that the woman who runs the adoption unit was our social worker for our first three adoptions.
Oh my
Not
goodness.
not through Children's Home Society, but that's what she did before she went there. So we would talk throughout the years and say, what can we do? How can we work together? And probably maybe about 5 years ago, she called me and we talked. And we wanted to develop adoption recruitment events. And so this is where all of the adoptable children in the foster system come together in a place. So we'll rent like Fun Depot, it's a local place here. All the kids get to play and do rides, go karts, and run around and play games. So
Yep.
they'll do that for a few hours. And also in the room or in the space are prospective vetted adoptive parents. So
Mhm.
these are parents that just want to see the children in action. They're not in their way. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. And I'm so happy to report that we're seeing fruits from this already. We've last at the beginning of this year, three children were adopted. And I'm told that after our last event, there are, I think, 10 children that are being looked at for placements.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
so that's working. So that's been super rewarding to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What are some things, because I'm sure there are people who are going to be listening to this, moms that are going to be listening to this, egging their husbands, let's do this, right? What are like maybe the top 5 things that you just really need to know, whether you have kids at home already or not, about international, about national adoptions? What are some things that they need to know?
Um, that it won't be easy, but it will be worth it.
Mhm.
Um, that the funding will come, so never let finances be the reason that you say no. It would be a really important one.
Yeah.
Never forget to embrace the communities that surround you, because I think so it's so easy to become isolated.
Yep.
I know in our case, and I know this in the case of so many, so many people jump in the ring to help you get these kids home, and then it's hard, and you're
Mhm.
scared to tell people it's hard because are they going to regret helping you get the child home? Are they, you know what I mean? Like, you feel like they were looking for the happy ending, and you're scared to tell them, okay, we're not at the happy ending yet. You know what I mean? Um,
Yes.
but you
Yep.
but you absolutely have to find your tribe. You cannot do it alone. And I was
Mhm.
thankful that God sent me some people that really helped us get through some hard times. And until we got to the other side of that. Um, I will say that if you're not sure, if you feel like you're being called to start a family, do it. Because I feel like we could have gone on, you know, living happily with our, I can say we materialistic selves, trying, doing investing in things, but our best investment was in our family. We were going to
Mhm.
invest in real estate, in a real estate property, and I'm so glad we didn't. Um, And it just, oh my goodness, it just changes life in the most beautiful way. It's not, I don't know, life becomes, it's kind of like, it's not about you anymore in a good way, in the best way.
Yeah. Right,
It
yep.
just becomes about these amazing humans that get to be with every day. And to never stop looking up.
Yeah.
Nobody can do any of it without their faith. I don't know how people survive without their faith, because when times get hard, that's just everything, it's everything.
Yeah. 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 Boy, you have really given us a lot to think about. Um, what if what about those who are listening who are like, "Okay, this is not my thing, but my heart is
Right.
really how can I help?" So,
Yeah.
where can they find the book? Where if they wanna read your book or, where's the
Mm.
best place for them to connect with you?
Thank you. Because I'll send you the link to the book. The book is on Amazon, but I'll make sure that I get that to you. There are so many ways to help, and there are so many people who are not called to adoption, but you can absolutely help. And I would say help us fund these grants to these families. Like, jump on our team with us, and then you're part of these miracles. Anything that you donate to, and you know me, I try to really update people
Yep,
regularly through the emails and through social media, and I really feel like this is not us, it's us. Do you
yep,
know what I mean? It's all of us doing this. So I feel like people who come alongside us in this, you are part of this amazing thing. This is not mine, this is ours. It's all of ours, and I just so fundraising is our biggest thing. If you could, if people would be interested in joining us in fundraising efforts and sharing our posts and just trying to, get people, help us get new donors, help us get the word out about what we're doing. That's amazing. And that's a, tangible way that people are helping.
absolutely. So we'll put the link in the, description below. So,
Mhm.
you could if you are interested in helping, Lisa and, take on all the, many needs of those kids who are struggling across the world, you can click on that and help that. Also, the book will be down there, so you can get that. So, let's shift gears a little bit,
Okay.
and let's do at the end of every show, I like to do a little rapid fire. So just
Oh
and
boy.
so just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh no.
Um,
Okay.
but I have to say that sometimes people answer things that are so interesting that I say rapid fire like we're gonna go, but then I'm like, "Ooh, let's talk a little bit more about that." So my rapid fire becomes like slower fire sometimes.
Oh, I was gonna say good. I'm 58. I'm juggling a lot of things. I got teenagers at home. I don't know if anything's rapid here, but
All right. Coffee or tea?
both.
Yeah. How do you like your
Coffee.
coffee?
I love coffee. I'm always trying different types of creamers. I actually just ordered yesterday this coffee called Four Sigmatic. I'm
Oh,
interested to try it. It has lion's mane mushrooms. It's called Focus. I'm like, need that. It's got
please me.
lions. Yeah, it's organic. Um, Arabica, if that's how you pronounce it, that bean. But it's got lion's mane and some other good stuff in there. It was $15 a bag on Amazon. I'm like, I'll try it. I need it. Because I love my Dunkin' Donuts coffee that I brew, but I'm gonna try this and see if it serves me better.
Ooh, I love it.
And tea, I love green tea. I'm always looking into, I have to say, when the whole thing with, Charlie Kirk and his tea so you don't lose your voice. So I was like, I'm not buying this expensive Starbucks tea. I did some research and found out who made that tea, company called Tivana, and you can buy the Tivana menthol tea bags or mint tea bags for like $9 on Amazon. So I've been drinking that once in a while too.
Is it helping?
I don't know.
All
I
right.
don't know.
What about early bird or night owl?
Both. Depends on the day. Um I'm
Especially
an
with
early
teenagers.
yeah, I'm an early bird, but you know what? I love my when you say night owl, for me that's staying up till 11. But
Yeah.
I do find that like after my husband goes to bed around 9 because he gets up early and the kids go to bed, I love that little window of time where it's just me.
Mhm.
So I like that as my night owl. It would be like after Jim would go to bed, it was my time to go be with the kids for a little bit, go be with Maddie for a little bit before she went away to college. And then now it's just, yeah, a little time to scroll before I go to bed, which they say not to do, but I do, you
Hey,
know.
whatever helps. Well, and I
Yeah.
think that, I don't know why this is, but teenagers and young adults have the uncanny
Mm,
ability that if, you're thinking you're going to go to bed at 10, like at 9:30 they come in and they just really want to share everything that is happening in
right.
their life. And so you're up until 11, which is like it's totally worth it, but at the
Amazing.
same time, there's a party is like, I was really tired. I was just going to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
All right. What is a go-to Murphy family meal that everybody agrees on and loves?
Home cooked or eat out?
Either one.
Chick-fil-A. Probably
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A. Um, Sometimes sushi, sometimes Chipotle. If we're eating at home, hamburgers.
Really?
Mhm,
Do you
yeah.
barbecue or do you do it on the grill?
We grilled them, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay. Funniest thing one of your kids has said recently.
Wow.
I told you it's not necessarily rapid fire. It's kind of slow it
No.
down and get
I mean, they're always each of them has such different personalities. They're always saying funny things. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one.
All
Pass.
right. We'll come back to that one. If you had a free afternoon with no responsibilities, no interruptions, how would you use it?
I'd work. I would totally be on probably on my computer doing what I love to do best. I mean, yeah, I guess it would depend. If we had more resources, maybe I'd go to a spa and get a massage or a facial. I don't know.
I think though
But no,
that drives you and fuels like I'm similar, right? Like I would do research on some of the things that I'm working on, or whatever, just
Right.
because it just makes me excited. It fuels that
I
flame.
know. It
Yeah,
really
yeah.
does. Or, a retreat of some sort maybe would be good for me in the future. I don't know, but
Okay. What's one family tradition that you never want to give up, even as your family grows?
oh, I love ours. So, we do a Secret Santa, and that's our immediate family. So,
Hmm.
one of the things our kids never did well with excess, which was a good thing because we were never in a position to give them excess. So we began early on doing a very simple Secret Santa. So
Hmm.
they really just get, each of us gets one gift from somebody in the family. And it's super fun because, we just think of a fun idea for that person, or we know something that that person needs. And part of the gift is when you give that person the gift, you have to say something nice about them.
I love that.
So it's so beautiful. Sometimes it's funny. There's been times it's been a little frustrating for some of our children who get a person that they not, didn't really necessarily want. I don't know. Um, but sometimes it makes us cry, with
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
tears of gratitude because something is said that makes us feel so special. Oh my goodness. So last year, my son Joey, who was a child of few words, um, he had me and he said, "Mom, I know that we fight a lot when we're walking the dogs and we don't get along sometimes, but um I think you're the best mom in the world and I love you so much." I
Oh,
was like, I don't know if I ever heard him say something like that. Like it was just yeah, so that
that's
tradition is never
beautiful.
ending. It's
That's
fun, and it's
beautiful.
great because they love it. It teaches them that we don't need a million things,
Hmm.
It's good.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that sometimes out of the simplicity creates the greatest
Yeah.
traditions. I know when I raised my kids as a single mom, um most of our friends' families after church on Christmas Eve would go to these really nice dinners, and like I didn't have $100 to throw down for dinner.
Mhm.
And so I started doing a progressive dinner with them. So we
How
would go
fun.
to uh one fast food restaurant after another, and you could only spend $2 on each one because we got to keep the budget in,
That's
right?
so fun.
And then when we went, we would say, Mary and Joseph went from house to house looking for a place to have Jesus. And so, and my boys, that is their favorite tradition, even to this day. And they're young adults are like, they still want to do
That's
it.
amazing. I wanna do it. We might do that this year. That's so
It's so
fun.
fun because it,
Right.
teaches them the whole budgeting thing,
Right.
because there's that challenge of, because when we go to a fast food restaurant normally as a family, especially now, we're just like, "Oh, yeah, just order whatever," but now, like,
Right.
no, Joseph and Mary had, like, nothing, and so you have to, like,
Yeah.
we've upped it to $5, like, everything
Okay,
is 5
okay.
because you can't have any more, but
How many places?
Uh, it depends on how late church goes, honestly, because a
Okay.
lot of times on Christmas Eve, the fast food restaurants close at 7:38.
Right,
But
right, right.
usually we usually go, there's like we have a row that has like a whole bunch on one side and
Oh,
the other. So
okay.
we just go up and hit all of them, turn around and come all the way back. But it could be like you
Okay.
can like you get your drink at McDonald's because it's
Yeah, yeah,
99
yeah.
cents. And then you
Right.
might get like your ice cream sundae at Burger King because,
Yeah.
it's like $2 or whatever, and so it just is super fun, and then in
That
the
is.
meantime, you're sitting in the car. I
Mhm.
think sitting in the car is probably the best time to have communication with your kids because you're not sitting across from them, and we just have the best conversations about all kinds of stuff. It's great. I love it.
Lisa, we have driven all our kids to school, and I
Yep,
wholeheartedly believe that it was so worth had that time with them. Like,
yep,
just to be even when they're not talking, they will remember that they were with you, you know?
yep, I did the same for the exact same reason. So important. Okay, so what is a song that always lifts your spirits?
Goodness of God. I cannot get this song. I love this song. The Goodness of God. I could just, like, belt it out all the time. You know what I mean? It's just so
Yeah.
good.
Well, we won't ask you to do a solo today, but
Thank you. Thank you.
um,
Mm.
what's the last show or movie that you watched together as a family?
Oh, so different things that's so hard because our family, like, that was one area we could never sync because we had so many different ages, personalities, likes. Um, but I will say, like, my a great experience I had recently was binge watching The Chosen, um,
Oh, yeah.
5 seasons with my son Charlie this summer, and it was so special to me that we did that together. Like, it was just
Oh, I love that.
every night we were so excited to watch it together, and we got through 5 seasons, over the summer. So it just depends on the child, and then, I love faith-based movies, so, I
Mhm.
forget, we just watched a really, really good one, I feel like it was a sports movie, but I love those type of movies. They're uplifting. I do not
Yep.
love watching, mainstream stuff with them. Um, I try to find good quality things to watch
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah,
Anyway.
absolutely. Absolutely. I
Oh,
started,
I'm sorry. Oh,
go ahead.
sorry, I forgot this other thing real quick. Darman. Do you know what Darman is?
Uh-uh.
So it's a YouTube series, DHARMANN. So Darman, they're these social stories, and some of them can be kind of dark, but they're for kids, and they always have a good message. Like, so it could be a child that gets bullied, but there's always this great ending, always this great message. And Lulu and I, we love Darman. That's our thing together
I
because it
love
gives
it.
her these social stories about behavior and what's right and what's wrong. And I think it helps her brain reconcile a lot. I love those. Some of them are better than others, but I love it. I think it's so good.
I love that you find specific things for each one of your kids that you can enjoy together. Because I know it's hard. I only have 2, and their,
Hmm.
interests are so diverse. It's hard for
Right.
we spend a good half hour trying to find a movie that all 3
Oh,
of us will watch.
yeah. And then we turn it off because we can't
Yeah,
find one.
yeah, exactly, and end up playing a game.
Right, right, right.
Which, is equally good. All right. So, which of your kids is most likely to make you laugh until you cry?
Oh, they're so different. Probably Lulu.
Yeah.
Probably Lulu.
Little
Because she's
spicy
just
one.
she's spicy and just has um, this way about her. She'll say like, if you say something that's, um, incorrect, she'll say, "What are you, blind?" Like, she just has, she just doesn't have an understanding of some things, which can be just so funny. She's just yeah. She's a hoot. She's a hoot.
If you could go back to China today, what's the first food you'd want to eat?
Noodles. Noodles for breakfast.
Really?
Noodles for breakfast with vinegar on them.
Ooh, that's
I
actually sounds good.
I cannot tell you the food in China is nothing like the food, in America that's Chinese, nothing like
Yeah.
it. But their breakfast is so off the chain. It's so good. Yeah. Noodles and dumplings for breakfast.
Ooh.
Mhm. Very
So, are
yummy.
they the thicker noodles or the really thin noodles like the ramen?
Well, there's either. It depends, what they're serving, but they're usually like homemade,
Mm-hmm.
rice noodles, a lot of them. Just
Oh, yeah.
so good. Yeah. Different
That makes
varieties.
sense.
So good.
What kind of
Mhm.
vinegar that they put on them?
I think it was black vinegar. I know there's one
Ooh.
area where vinegar is kind of like the thing there. I think it was where one of our kids was actually. Um, yeah, so we got really used to just using it everywhere. Very
I'm gonna
yummy.
try to duplicate that at home. I am a weird vinegar fiend. The idea of noodles and
Wow.
vinegar, it sounds really appealing to
Okay.
me.
Yeah, search it up. Search it up on Google about the type of, maybe try black vinegar and see what it says. I feel like maybe that was it. I'll look and see if I can find
I'm
something.
totally trying that. I'm totally
Yeah.
trying that. Well, thank you
Mm.
so much for coming
Oh,
today. You have
thank
given us so
you.
much to think about. Whether it's just talking about kids and the conditions that they're currently living in other countries and reminding us of that, because I think sometimes we get so into our own American world and our own American problems. We need to have that broadened horizon.
Thank you
And
for saying that.
yeah, I think
It's
that
so
we are
true.
not globally minded as much as we should be.
Oh my goodness, really? You just said that? You just hit the nail. It is, and I can be like, "Oh, woe was me," because we have an issue, and then all of a sudden I'll get a file of a family, a widow and orphans in Uganda who they're going to the bathroom in a hole in the ground. And I'm like, "Okay, Lord, I'm sorry. What am
Yeah.
I?" Like, it's just so different. So thank you for having a global heart because yes, it is
Yes.
so different.
We are, even with our struggles, we
Mhm.
in this country are extremely blessed.
So blessed.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So I will put all the links in the description below. Make sure you hit subscribe so you can get
Yes.
these on a regular basis. Hit like, and we will talk to you next time.
Thank you, everyone.